Welcome back to another episode of Bass Fishing for Noobs. I'm Susie Q.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sean.
What is happening?
Not a whole lot. Just a quiet Is it Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. I know. Don't ask me what day or whatever it is right now because I'm still all off from my lots of time off I had with all my crazy adventures and everything. So yeah, it's been crazy. But yes, we are recording on a Tuesday, even though our show airs on Monday. So yeah. Awesome.
But yeah, if you guys missed last week's episode, go back and tune in to hear about Susie's crazy escapades and all the fun fishing that went with that. But
Yeah,
we're
yeah, it was a little crazy, and just a little update from that too. So yesterday, I went fishing at Barren Marsh, obviously, but multi-purpose. It was the last of the online event in a series that I've been competing in for contention for Angler of the Year, and I made it by 1 point.
wow, nice.
So it was a close running.
I was gonna say, talk about skin of your teeth, but hey.
Yeah, I barely made it by. Like, I tied with the person that I was running against, and like our scores were even, but I had the bigger fish of the two. So I was like, that couldn't have worked out even more perfect. So pretty happy about that.
Well, congrats, that's awesome.
Yep, yeah. Anywho, we have a special guest with us tonight. We have Trevor Lowe from Omnia Fishing, who is going to be talking with us about some awesome things. So welcome to the show, Trevor. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited about this. Like I said, I've been around talking about Omnia a little bit, and I'm glad to be able to bring it to more people. So thanks for having me.
Awesome sauce. So Trevor, tell us a little bit about you. People may know you from Omnia Fishing, but where are you from? What got you into fishing? That type of thing.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised Minnesota. I would say St. Paul is probably my home, more so than Minneapolis is. But lived in Minnesota my whole life. I am of Hmong ethnicity, so I guess kind of important to me in the sense that both my parents came to the United States as immigrants back during the Vietnam War. So pretty cool. Both my parents are here in the Twin Cities as well. And that's kind of how I got started fishing. My dad is the one who introduced me to fishing. He grew up having two passions, soccer and the outdoors. And my brother got soccer, I got the outdoors. So it's kind of my start into fishing. Grew up fishing for standard stuff, panfish, crappies of the sort. And as I got older, started bass fishing and saw the Elite Series guys and Bassmaster and everything like that, and wanted to pursue that. So I ended up going to school at the University of Minnesota and fishing in the Bassmaster College Series. And long story short, I guess my quote unquote claim to fame, I won the Bassmaster College Series back in 2015. So fished the Bassmaster Classic on Grand Lake in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2016, and that kind of kick-started my career into the fishing industry, and now I'm at Omnia Fishing.
Nice. And what brought you to Omnia? Like, were they looking for you out of college, or how did you end up there?
Yeah, so I've known some of the guys that either started Omnia or that had been with Omnia for a while now. We're technically still a startup. I would say we're about 4.5, 5 years old. So I've been at Omnia for about a year, but I've known some of the guys that have been involved with Omnia for a while, and we've just kind of stayed in contact through the years. And as I got out of college, I got a marketing degree, because obviously in the fishing industry, it's either you're really good at fishing or you're really good at selling products.
It sounds like you're good at both. I mean,
yeah.
I would say it's a mix of both. I haven't won a tournament since winning the college series, so I guess that's that. But No, it's been cool. Like I said, I've stayed in touch with the guys there, and I think right out of college, I started getting try to get some experience and get some jobs that were just help me pay bills and help me kind of get started. And then started guiding full time as well after that, and then from there, I was like, all right, I'd love to, as much fun as guiding is, it's very physically demanding, being out on the water every single day, to make sure that you're on top of fish, make sure you're putting your clients on fish. So, I kind of wanted to step back from that, and, those guys reached out to me and said, hey, we've got an opening if you're interested. So, yeah.
Very cool, very cool, and to get to work in the industry that you love, I mean, that's like a bonus.
Hmm.
Although everybody we talk to that does work in the industry says it really takes away from their fishing time. So,
It absolutely does. Yeah. I've definitely noticed that. And even more so now. My wife and I just had our first child. I mean, she's a little over a year now. She's about a year and a month. So about 13 months old, but she's a little gem. She's a ball of energy, but she takes away from my fishing time as well. But that's not a bad thing.
I was going to say that's probably a fair trade, I would say. So,
Yeah, for sure.
very cool.
And then just get her into fishing once she can.
That's right. Yeah. She's yet to get out on the boat, but hopefully, if the weather stays nice in Minnesota long enough, I might be able to sneak her out there for an hour or something like that before she gets sick of it.
Yep. Well, yeah. So tell us a little bit about, the ambassador program on Omnia. I am fairly new to being a quote unquote ambassador myself. But I know, at least in my opinion, the thing that stands out to Omnia versus other tackle websites or whatever are the fishing reports, which are pretty cool, but I'll let you explain more.
Yeah. So, as you alluded to, we are an e-commerce or a tackle fishing tackle retailer. We've probably got the second largest assortment in terms of SKUs, next to obviously the giant tackle warehouse everybody knows. But what kind of sets us apart from all these other retailers, which makes us really unique, is the fact that we do have fishing reports. And these fishing reports are user-generated content. So this is all provided by community members, people that are, I guess I could just call them fishermen or fisherwomen or anglers, that fish around the country. And if you're fishing your favorite lake, you can go to our site after you're outing on the water. You can file a fishing report, and by doing so, you join the ambassador program that we offer. And when you file a fishing report, you select the lake, you select the specific hot bait that you're using, whether it's a Yamamoto Senko or a Whopper Plopper or whatever you caught them on that day. You can highlight recommended products as well, such as the rods, the reels that you're using, include a photo, the species you're targeting, all that sort of stuff, and obviously with a brief description of your outing, what you caught them on, how you caught them, were you targeting docks or were you fishing a certain depth in the water column or something like that. And when you file that fishing report, it goes up into our site. Obviously, we vet them a little bit to make sure people aren't posting inappropriate things. But once it gets approved, it lives on our site. And what it does is it takes all this information, and our computer machine learning algorithm pumps out product recommendations to customers as they're viewing the site. So let's just say, I fish Mille Lacs quite a bit here in Minnesota. I'm going to recommend, an owner ball head jig for a small megabass spark shad swim bait. And if somebody comes to the site, they're like, hey, I want to know what I should be using on Mille Lacs. They can go to the Mille Lacs lake page. You can read up on all the fishing reports based off of the species, the season that you're targeting. And it gives you all these fishing reports you can read up on to see what you should be doing this time of year, all the baits you should be doing, the techniques that are recommended. And it even breaks it down into which techniques are most reported on, everything like that. But I think the really cool part about that, minus the product recommendations that are generated through fishing reports, is the opportunity to earn free tackle as you file these fishing reports. So in our ambassador program, we've got different tiers. We've got the bronze, the silver, the gold, and then the blue tier. But the bronze, silver, and gold levels, you can earn free tackle as you're filing fishing reports. If you file a fishing report, let's just say, for my example, I talk about a megabass spark shad, and it shows up on the product carousel on the product detail page or on the lake page from Mille Lacs, and somebody adds that bait to their cart and makes a purchase on it, you earn tackle credit for that because you're the one that helped generate that product recommendation. So it behooves our ambassadors to file more fishing reports as much as they can, recommend as many products as they can, because you can earn free tackle from doing that. So the higher you get up in the tiers of the ambassador program, the more tackle credit you earn per conversion.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, we have a lot of different benefits to the ambassador program. Once you hit a certain level, we'll send you a free hat, or we give you some Omnia swag. You can earn more, like I said, more credit per conversion. So rather than $5 of credit per conversion, you're earning $10 of credit per conversion. So that can total up pretty good. You can end up with a couple $100 of credit if you're filing reports, and I mean it's free tackle for you, so why not?
Very cool. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it's definitely pretty interesting because I've actually used it myself a couple of times, because like I'll be looking for certain things on different bodies of water, and knowing that the fishing reports and everything is still relatively new, so sometimes I'll come across a body of water that just hasn't been reported on or whatever, and I'm like, hey, I can be that person to make the first report in a sense, so that's always kind of cool too.
Yeah, it is cool. I think, like I said, we've got a lot of machine learning that goes into this, where even if a lake doesn't have any reports on it, we are able to take the data that we have about that lake and find nearby lakes that are similar in water clarity or similar in depth or bottom composition, and we can use lakes that have fishing reports and still generate recommended products. Whether that be rods and reels, we can recommend the kinds of techniques that you should be trying for this time of year, because if it's summertime and this lake has grass, maybe you're going to want to flip a jig or a Texas rig or something like that, just so that nobody goes in blind per se, without knowing where to even start. So really cool stuff.
That is very cool. Like, what's your tech department like? That sounds like my kind of gig. I'm a IT guy, so
Yeah, we run pretty lean at Omnia. Like I said, we're a startup, so our tech team, they are the brains of the whole operation. They speak a whole different language than I do. I'm there just to help them figure out, how we get more people to file fishing reports. How we can bring value to anglers in the ambassador program. But they're the brains behind everything. So
that's pretty cool that all that is tied together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly to that point, is we have to work strategically and cohesively so that we have goals that we want to meet, and each department of the company can come together and meet those goals with different tasks that we have.
Awesome, very cool. So, well, speaking of cool tech things, before we started recording, you were also showing us something that's relatively new, that's out now. The Premium Plus,
Premium Pro.
Sorry, and we definitely wanted to give you a chance to kind of highlight that too. So, do you want to explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so everybody's familiar with Omnia, in the sense that we've got a website. You can buy tackle on our website. You can read fishing reports on the website. But like I said, our tech team wanted to make this as easy as we can for everybody. So we decided to create an app. So we've got our Omnia app, which is available for Android and iOS, and it's got every feature that you can imagine the website has. You can read fishing reports. You can purchase tackle. It's kind of dangerous because of how easy it is to buy tackle. It's kind of like the Amazon Prime of tackle purchasing, and So we've decided to make it as easy as we can for people to get the tackle that they need, get the fishing information that they need to be successful in the water. And with Premium Pro, before I get into that, I kind of have to take a step back because Omnia for the longest time has had what we call our premium membership. So premium is a whole different thing from Premium Pro. Our premium membership is a $29 a year membership. And essentially what that does for you is it gives you access to 10% back on all your purchases. So if you buy $300 worth of tackle in a year, you get $30 back. That's premium right there. That's your cost. So basically now you're getting everything else for free, or you're getting premium for free. And a lot of times we do give out premium for free during times of the year. So on top of that, we have free shipping on all your orders if you're a premium member. So you don't have to, pay a dime for shipping whenever you buy 1 pack of Senkos or you buy 50 packs of Senkos, so it's a great deal in itself, especially with shipping charges being kind of expensive nowadays. And, like I said, that applies to all anything you buy, whether it's rods, reels, just tackle boxes, whatever. So, and then lastly, we do offer specials that are premium exclusive. So sometimes if we have a sale that's going to happen, that's coming down the pike, we will give our premium members access to it early so that they can get geared up before that stuff sells out. Sometimes we do premium only offers where there's a specific rod or reel that's been in high demand, and maybe we'll do a crazy 35% off for premium members only. So a lot of great features with premium. I would say it's probably the best deal membership in the industry for tackle purchases. But so that's premium. Now we've launched this whole new thing called Premium Pro, and this is directly tied to the app. So with Premium Pro, we've integrated map layers into the map that we already have on our website, where people can go and read up on fishing reports. So am I free to share my screen? Can I do that on here?
Absolutely. Yep.
So let me pull this up real quick. So with, like I said, with Premium Pro, this is only available right now on our app, but this is just a web demonstration here. So I'm just going to pull up Lake Minnetonka. This is a lake here in the Twin Cities that's pretty popular. This is kind of the tournament lake. Are you able to see my screen?
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. So this is Lake Minnetonka, the quote unquote premier tournament lake here in the Twin Cities. If you fish tournaments, you better get good at fishing this body of water, because this is kind of where everybody cuts their teeth. But yeah, so you can see here, we've got a map. We've got what are called our core layers and then our weather layers. So in our core layers, we have depth, hardness, vegetation, water temperature, clarity. You can ignore Omnia clarity. So we've got 5 core layers, and I can go through each one of them. But depth, hardness, and vegetation are going to be derived from what's called CMAP, which if you're a Lowrance user, you might be familiar with. But this is all community-driven data. And you can see here, these are sonar logs that are uploaded into the CMAP cloud per se. But very, very high level detail, high detail contours. And obviously with it being community driven, community uploaded, you will have some areas that are not marked. But I will say that we are in talks with Navionics. So we will have Navionics integrated into our app, and every lake in the United States will be covered by Navionics if it doesn't have CMAP on it.
Very cool.
Yeah. So obviously Contour, everybody's familiar with Contour. I can go to the next one, which is bottom hardness. This one is really cool, especially for lakes up here in the Midwest in Minnesota, because we have a lot of grass, and generally when you're fishing grass, the better spots in the grass are the spots that have hard bottom. So a little local knowledge up here is that you need to get out right as the ice melts and start graphing, because the grass hasn't grown in yet. So now you can start, figuring out the areas that are going to have hard bottom before that grass grows in. So let's just say here, for example, you got this big flat. There's a huge flat here. This is all covered in grass during the summertime, but you can see there's the hard spots there's kind of like a bridge here that connects up into this, I guess, center part of the flat with hard bottom on here. So you can see that this would be a prime area to target if you're going to go and flip grass. You might skip over this area over here with the yellow coloration on the color gradient, because that's going to be your softer bottom, but you can focus in on these areas that have harder bottom once that grass grows in. So if you don't have time to get out and graph early in the year, this is a super awesome tool to help you figure out which stretches of bank or which parts of the flat are going to have harder bottom than the others. So like I said, all these are just tools that you can use to find more fish, find more success on the water from the comfort of your home, or like I said, if you don't have the time to get out and graph early in the season. So that's our hardness layer. The next layer would be your vegetation. So as you can see, that's that big flat right here. Lots of grass on this flat. I know from just fishing this lake, there's a ton of grass there. And yeah, if you were to switch over, you can see, this area in the grass would have that hard bottom. But the vegetation layer is pretty cool as well. As we zoom out on Lake Minnetonka, you can see, let's just go into, West Arm. This is a bay called West Arm here, and West Arm doesn't have a whole lot of vegetation. It's got a lot of rocky bottom, but if you are trying to find those small patches of grass or small little shorelines that will have grass, you can use this layer to determine that, like I said, from the comfort of your home, or if it's a lake you've never been to, you can do that without having to actually get out on the lake. So that's one more of our core layers. The next one would be water temperature. I'm going to try to find a lake that's got a little bit more coverage. So here, this is a perfect example. So this is Mille Lacs. I was out on Mille Lacs on Sunday. This is pretty dang close. I was reading, 64, 65 degrees on water temperatures. So you can see most of the lake is 64, 65. I spent the majority of my time down here in this section of the lake. And yeah, it's pretty accurate. All of this data is satellite driven. So this is satellites reading the surface temperature of the water and figuring out what that temperature is. So it constantly refreshes. It's getting updated daily. So you can keep an eye on your the water temperature on your local home body or of water or whatever. And that gives you an idea of, when should I get up to Mille Lacs to go and chase that fall bite? Or, if it's springtime, you can go chase the spawn, figure out which creeks are warming up faster. And I'll swing down here just for a quick example. So if you look here, this is, it doesn't show really well now because it's all hot, but this is Lake Norman. And if any of you paid attention to the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour this year, they had their Red Crest, which is like their big end of the year tournament on Lake Norman. And it's funny because they were fishing in March, and in March, generally that's the time of year where they're spawning. And when you think of spawning fish, you get away from the dam, you go run up to the north end of the lake because that's generally where your warmer water is. But it turns out that the locals that fish here know that there is a warm water discharge right here. And this entire south end of the lake was about, 8 to 10 degrees warmer than the rest of the lake. And the fish started spawning down here before they were spawning up in the, the main lake or in the upper part of the lake. So it's funny because I would say 80% of the anglers fishing the final day were fishing down in the south end, catching spawning fish. And we were able to look at, this lake temperature or the water temperature layer and see like this was colored yellow while the rest of the lake was still blue. So,
oh, wow.
Really cool information, like I said, and we could determine that from the comfort of our home. Let's see if I can, I pulled it up a couple days ago. I'll have to send it to you guys outside of this, but yeah, it's really cool. You can see like this whole section of the lake down here is yellow. It's a whole different color gradient. It's much warmer, and then the rest of the lake is blue. But if those guys would have had Premium Pro, they would have known that
Right?
south end is where the spawn was going to be happening. So, and then lastly, for our core layers, we have water clarity. So this is, like I said, also satellite driven data. So you can see the dark blues are your clear bays. You've got, this, I guess, aqua-ish blue to the yellows to the greens. That's going to be your dirtier water. And as you get to, let's go to the Mississippi here, you can see the Mississippi's pretty dirty. You've got that red color gradient. That's going to be really dirty water. So really cool stuff, especially, like I said, a lot of different use cases for it. If you like fishing dirty water, you can figure out which creeks in your lake are dirty, which creeks are clean. And I think specifically of like when you go down to Florida, every year the tournament trails start in Florida, guys are chasing spawning fish, but you can see different parts of the lake are going to be cleaner than others. So my guess here is obviously with the blue being cleaner and the red being dirtier, we probably had a west wind blow all that water in Lake Okeechobee, and it made this side dirty. So yeah, it's like I said, a lot of really cool tools that you can use to try to be more efficient on the water, maximize your time out there. But you can, use this however you need to catch more fish and figure out which areas of the lake that you want to fish.
Well, even you were showing us where the St. Croix and the Mississippi join. You could even see the mud line kind of.
Yeah.
That was really cool too, because I mean, sometimes that's a prime area to fish as well, right where
Yep.
right where that's mixing. So,
and then when you toggle between the standard map and the satellite map, like for at least competitive kayak anglers who are competing in tournaments and they're looking at maps and stuff like that, like they're going to be able to compare all these different layers to Google Maps or whatever, or is this Mapbox or whatever, which I'm assuming it's probably pulled from Google Maps or whatever. But I mean,
exactly.
like being able to integrate all of this information into one place is like, I think what everybody has been wanting and needing, because like it's like you were talking before we started recording. I was like, everybody has like 5 apps for all of these different things, and you got like 3 of them running, or you got like a web browser open on your phone to pull up, maybe Navionics or something like that. And this is just you toggle between them. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's to your point, it's really cool, and this is available on Android, iOS. So there's a lot of guys that run tablets on their boats. So you can just pull this up on your iPad or your tablet or whatever, and you can use this as your kayaking, or guys will have units on their boat where they've got an iPad mounted onto their console. So yeah, really, really cool features that you can utilize as one to help you figure out, okay, I'm on the south end. Does it seem like if I'm looking for cleaner water, does it make sense for me to run all the way up to the north end? Should I not even make that run? Am I wasting 40 minutes of a run to get up there and just to find out that the water's just as dirty up here, or the water's just as cold up here as it is down south. So really cool stuff, like I said, to have all of this in one place. You alluded to 4 different apps to check the wind, to check the weather, and I can get into that here in a second too. We talked to a friend of the company, and he had mentioned, so these core layers, you can't overlay them together, but you can take a core layer and you can overlay a weather layer on top of it. So he had mentioned, man, I just wish there was an app that if I'm fishing this point here, I could just pull up the wind and see how the wind is blowing on that point,
Yes.
and use that, base it on the contours. Because if I'm fishing, like I said, let's pull a point here that sticks out. So this one, for example, you've got this point here, and the wind's hitting it on this bank right here. It's pushing this bait fish up on this side of the flat. Maybe you're going to want to target this bank or this part of the flat rather than targeting this side of the flat.
Mhm.
So a lot of really cool stuff. The fact that you can overlay that, really will help you eliminate water or figure out, okay, why did I get this bite here when I got this bite here? Maybe it was because the wind was blowing right into it, or maybe the wind was, doing something that pushed bait fish or positioned fish in a certain way. So, really cool. So obviously that's one of our weather layers right there. This is wind direction and wind speed. And you can use this. We've got these little barbs that show you the direction the wind's blowing. And like I said, it's all over the United States, so we can get over to central Illinois, which is over
There
here,
you go.
and
Yeah.
you can see, yeah, it looks pretty dang windy over here in Peoria
Yeah, it
right
was a little
now.
windy today.
Yeah, and or this is going to come into play, especially you're fishing these big bodies of water like Lake Erie.
St.
Some people
Clair.
fishing St. Clair, the Great
Mhm.
Lakes. I fish a lot on Mille Lacs, so you can imagine, Mille Lacs is very similar to St. Clair, where there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
It's just a big open thing, so
Nowhere to go.
you got to play the wind. Yep.
Want to
So
know, like I fish the river a lot, and if the river is blowing downriver, it's not bad. But if the wind is blowing upriver against the current, it turns it into a washing machine, and it's not always
absolutely.
the funnest time to be out there. So that kind
Yep.
of information is definitely worth its weight for sure.
hmm Yeah, so we've got other weather layers as well. We've got radar. So obviously you can see there's a big cell moving here in Des Moines, central Iowa. And we can pair that with our storms layer as well. So you can see the individual storm cells. We have these cones that show you the direction the storm cell is headed. So, if let's just say you're fishing a body of water up here in Cedar Rapids, or you're fishing in Dubuque here, you can see that this storm cell looks like it's pushing towards you, and you can kind of gauge, okay, maybe I've got an hour to fish left, or maybe I really need to get out of here right now because it's right upon me. So a lot of stuff to keep you safe. And then another really cool one is our lightning strikes layer. So you can see, obviously, us being on the water, we are prime targets for lightning strikes. So obviously we don't want to be on the water when there's lightning around.
Nope.
But you can see lightning strikes down here, southwest Des Moines. We've got some storms up here in North Texas, along with this looks like Grand Lake. So for anybody fishing Grand Lake, you might not want to be on Grand Lake right now. Um, there's lightning going. So like I said, really cool stuff. And then lastly, we've got air temperature. So you can see, where those cold fronts are coming through, those hot fronts are coming through, and kind of figure out, what you're going to wear that day. But yeah, so that's Premium Pro in a nutshell. Really cool stuff. Um, like I said, everything that you can use from the comfort of your home, you can use it while you're on the water, using a tablet, using a phone, anything like that. So it makes you a lot more efficient on the water, and you're not wasting time. Especially for weekend anglers that maybe all they've got is half a day to practice in the evening for their weekend tournament or something like that. So really cool stuff.
Very, very cool.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, whenever I'm, pre-fishing or, in a tournament, my biggest thing is, weather in a sense, and I think I have 3 different weather apps that I use
hmm
because, they're always different in some way, shape, or form. And, I do have one just strictly for the wind, especially if I'm going to be, up on a big body of water, and then
hmm
lightning strikes too. Like I have an app called Windy that I use to see like
Sure.
what direction the wind and stuff is coming from. But this is like it's going to solve everything to where I don't really need to have 3, 4 apps going at the same time. I can just go to the Premium Pro and just be like, boom, yep, all my information is
Yeah.
right there. So That's pretty awesome. I'm like super excited for this.
Yeah, and I guess to make it even better, a lot of us we pay to have Navionics on our phone, and like I
Mm-hmm.
do, I
Me
think
too.
it's what, like
Mm-hmm.
20 bucks
Yep.
a year, 30
Yep.
bucks a year. Premium Pros, it's $50 a year if you don't have premium. If you already have premium, it's just 20 bucks. And it's like I said, it's the add-on from premium. It's $20. And better yet, we add an entire year of your premium subscription. So if you're already 10 months into your premium subscription and you upgrade to Premium Pro, we'll eat that 10 months of cost and just give you a
Oh,
whole another year of premium. So, like I said, it's well worth the money in terms of, getting all those features, getting CMAP onto your phone, getting
yes.
Navionics coming soon, all the weather stuff
Yes.
and everything like that. Bottom hardness, really, really cool.
Well, heck yeah. I mean, just the Navionics alone, I mean, that's $30 right there, or
Yeah.
20, 30
Yeah.
bucks. So that makes it pretty much a no brainer. So
hmm
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
and like I said, yeah, if you don't have Premium Pro and you upgrade to Premium Pro, you get premium in addition to it too. It's not just the map layer. So, now you're getting 10% back on your purchases with Omnia. You get free shipping. So, if you buy, shipping nowadays is anywhere from $5 to $15 depending on what you're buying. And, if you put in 2 orders, that basically covers everything already. So
Heck yeah. So I was just curious about so like that first part of the data. I know you were talking about how like the clarity and the water temps and whatnot would kind of update regular. How about the like the hardness and like the grass and stuff like that? How often is that updating? So like, again with the changing seasons and whatnot, if you're looking at it during wintertime, are you still going to see like the grassy areas, or how does that update?
yeah, I don't have a great answer to that. My guess is that CMAP is constantly taking in active sonar logs, and so they're uploading to the cloud, and as they upload to the cloud and they update that, it gets updated into our app as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's hard to say, but it's a great question. When people are recording these sonar logs for CMAP, I think I spoke to one of my colleagues, and he said these sonar logs are taking in like 5 pieces of information all at the same time. So you take depth, you take bottom hardness, presence of vegetation, and there are 2 more that I just can't remember for the life of me. But it takes all these pieces of information and then it puts it into a file, and when you upload it. So um, if somebody is not actively graphing an area and finding out that there's no more vegetation there, I don't think it's going to show up. But um, like I said, I think a lot of this is not so much set in stone concrete. This is
Hmm.
exactly what you're going to see when you go out there, but it's more of a guideline so that if this area generally has vegetation, you can at least, rather than having to drive all over the lake blindly looking for vegetation, you can say, okay, I know that these areas have been known to have vegetation or should have vegetation. And if you get there and there is no vegetation, you'd be like, okay, something's off here. Either the weeds didn't grow in the way they should, somebody
Hmm.
had them sprayed, somebody
Hmm.
had them cut, or something like that,
Right.
or so on and so forth. So and that's another thing, we kind of talk about with the temp layers too. As we move towards the spawn next year, that's going to be a huge player because everybody's
Yes.
trying to find warm water. Nobody's looking
Hmm.
for cold water during the spawn. So um, we have numbers on the map that tell you, quote unquote, the degrees that water, the temperature of the water. Um, but your graph might not read 59 degrees when you go to the spot that says 59 degrees, but you can be confident in the fact that if our app says 59 degrees and the main lake is 54 degrees, if your graph says 62, then you can be sure that the main lake is 5 degrees less. It's consistent. The numbers might not be accurate, but the change in the difference in temperature will be consistent regardless of what your numbers are.
Sure. Right. Yeah. And especially in the spring too. I mean, you got temperatures that'll fluctuate.
Yep.
within a couple days span. You might have a cold front come through and it zaps the water, by 5-6 degrees. So, again, yeah, those things, any angler would know that, your temperature is going to vary by some variation.
Yeah, absolutely. There is absolutely nothing set in stone when it comes to fishing. It could be 60, 60-degree water. You think the spawn's full blown, they're going at it, full moon, everything like that, and they could not even be on beds. It just
Yep.
that's just how fishing goes. So, like I said, this is more of just another tool to help you catch fish. Live scope doesn't put fish in your boat. Live scope helps you see fish, helps you catch fish, and hopefully helps you put more fish in the boat, but it's not a guarantee to put fish in the boat. And we don't make any promises with the Premium Pro app like you're gonna catch fish by using this. It's just another tool to have in your arsenal.
Exactly. And having having a tool that serves as many different tools all in one is just even
It's like
better.
your Swiss Army knife of apps.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous because you can buy tackle pretty quick with that thing too.
Right. Awesome.
Well, very cool. And then it sounds like you guys are thinking already, improving like by grabbing Navionics, and I'm sure as is there a way people can give feedback and stuff to just
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So to that point, we're always willing to take feedback. We want to know how we can improve, we can make it better. You can definitely reach out to any of us at Omnia. We've got a chat on our website. I think we've got an email address set up that you can shoot an email to if you're having issues. You can just call the store. Our customer service team is top notch. Kip and Nick are superstars at what they do, and if they don't have the answer for you, we can definitely figure out how we can resolve whatever issue you're having, or if there's something that you're like, dude, you guys should really do this, or you guys should really consider blah 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 X, Y, and Z. We'll definitely take that into consideration, work with our development team and our tech team to see if we can't implement those changes in the app, because like I said, we want to hear what the anglers want, and we want to give them what they want. So
Awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Good stuff. Man, that is, I wish I would have known about Premium Pro like sooner, but I know it's kind of fairly new too. So definitely a tool I am definitely going to utilize for my season next year for sure. So
yeah, and we'll like I said, after the show, I'm happy to get you both access to it for free, and we'll let you guys mess with it a little bit, and you guys can let me know what you guys think. And obviously, the coverage is going to be different around different parts of the country, but as we continue to improve on it, definitely let me know how you think we should fix this, and we should do this better, and we can go from there. So
very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, super excited to have some fun with that. So besides that, are there any other I guess like updates or trends or anything like that when it comes to like how things are going with Omnia? Like, are you seeing any certain like viral things or trend things going on with like tackle or products or anything like that?
Yeah. I think the hottest topic, the most polarizing topic, and you're smiling because you know what it is.
Yep.
Forward-facing sonar.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about it. Everybody's mom's talking about it. And it just seems like everything is pushing towards being utilized by forward-facing sonar in terms of tackle. You've got baits that are coming out that are literally called, forward-facing sonar minnow, or forward-facing sonar this, or live scope jig, or whatever, And I think a lot of people are either you love it or you hate it. you don't find too many people that are in the middle about it, because you've got XYZ YouTubers that are talking about how it's just ruining the fishing industry, and then you have all these other YouTubers that are just blowing up because of the success that they have, utilizing it, catching giant fish on OHIV or wherever they're catching fish. So I think forward-facing sonar is probably the biggest thing that we've seen, where a lot of baits are being designed specifically for forward-facing sonar. We just got in the new 6 Sense Panorama. If you've seen that bait, it literally looks like a shad, and it's flat. It's a soft plastic, but it's meant to be flat. It's like a soft plastic spoon in a sense, because that live sonar pings right off of it so well that you can scope fish with it. And so we just got those in. I think they got put away last night, and we are basically sold out of them already.
Wow.
So they've got a good marketing team there at 6 Sense. They got some pretty big hitters in terms of their influencers. But yeah, I think that's probably the most consistent thing that we're seeing with the tackle purchases. Big glide baits are also popular as well. Your Chad shads are popular. When we get them in, they sell out right away. I think whenever there's hype around a bait, like I said, I think right now though, forward-facing sonar is the biggest hype. One of the big baits that we see, or products that we see sell out like crazy as soon as we get them, is the Core Tackle hover rig. If you've seen that,
yep.
It's basically,
we actually had him on the show. What's his name?
Was it Johnny or Matt Steffen?
Matt Steffen.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. It's funny. I won the college series in his backyard on the river that he lives on in Wisconsin. So, but yeah, Matt Steffen, to that point, that little jig head it's basically a straight shank hook with a 90-degree eye, and the hook has it's weighted. It's a weighted hook, and you can just embed this whole hook shank into a flatworm, a fluke style bait, something of the sort. And basically it's meant to just up here in Minnesota we call it moping, but everybody down south calls it demiki rigging. But essentially it's you're dropping and you're hanging a bait in front of their nose and you're just shaking it. But that hook shank allows that bait to sit horizontal and just do this in front of the fish rather than hanging from a ball head jig. So it's those things sell like crazy. I mean, we get them in, they sell out. So, but everything is forward-facing sonar based right now. And obviously you still have your big players. Your jackhammers are popular. The Yamatanuki is popular.
I've been having a lot of fun with that too.
Yeah. So you see ebbs and flows. JDM products, as soon as they come in, they sell out. Everybody just thinks it's the bee's knees or cats behind, and it's just it's funny because that little dice rubber, did you guys see that thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that dice rubber, I mean, we can't even get it. It's so hard to get. Japanese folks, they have a different way of doing supply chain than we do. So it's kind of like, hey, we'd like to get this. Can we put in a PO? They're like, we'll give you what we got when we got it, when we want to give it to you. When you get it, that's when you get it. And so it's hard to give a timeline of, hey, when are you guys going to get this? So but yeah, JDM products are they fly off the shelves as soon as they go.
Yes. So. Yeah, there's some very interesting tackle and equipment when it comes to JDM stuff. Like I've delved only just a little bit, and I'm kind of glad I haven't really gone like heads into it, because I mean, man, it can get real dangerous and pricey quick with some of that. It's cool though,
It is. It's it never ceases to amaze me. Like I said, that dice rubber when it came out, and Kyoya Fujita was catching fish on it, and it was just like, who would think a square piece of plastic, a cube of plastic with some strings coming out of it would just be the talk of the town, and everybody searching for it. I mean, guys were selling bags of it on eBay for $40 a piece.
Jesus.
Holy cow, people.
Yeah,
It's like
that's good
the
though.
it's like the what is that thing called, the evergreen gizmo?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I haven't been able to find one of those things.
I bought 3 or 4 last summer after the Minor Brothers won the Susquehanna event.
Yeah, and that's why.
Sure. Sure. Yep. Yeah, it's funny. People they really buy into the hype for certain things, and it's just like I said, we do this thing. So premium members at Omnia, when something gets put back into stock, we let our premium members know 2 hours before the rest of the
Oh,
people get
nice.
notified.
Nice.
So like I said, it pays to be a premium member. If there's a hot bait that you're looking for, a couple years ago was the flatworm, and when
Yep.
flatworms got put into stock, premium members knew about it 2 hours before it. And by the time everybody else got their emails, they'd get there and there'd only be a few bags left. Why is there no bags left? It's like premium members get a little early access.
Get a little extra honey from the pot.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm not necessarily like skeptical or like one way or another when it comes to forward facing sonar, just because like I feel like I still have so much to learn myself on my own unit because I run Lowrance. And it's fascinating, really, because I mean, you see what technology has done and where we've been and where we're going. So like it makes you wonder, well, if we can see the things that we're seeing now, what's it going to be like in 5 years from now? Like,
Right.
is it going to be like even more so like finely tuned? You'll see like, it's like, oh, you know how people will get the 3D ultrasounds of their babies?
Sure.
Like I'm thinking it's going to turn into that at some point, but just like, in like a cone or whatever. But like, I'm just, it's crazy what technology has done in like the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and it's just awesome to see, where we've come, where we're at right now, and just, where we're going to go from here.
It's weird to think about that too. Like it makes me think, is that actually going to detract from some of the because some of the fun is not knowing when that bite's going to come, or
Right.
and if you're gonna see it from the time that fish moves 10 foot off the bed to come over, and is that what's that gonna do? I mean, is
Right.
it gonna still give you that same level? I mean, it's gonna be cool to catch fish, but I don't know. Some of it is that anticipation for me anyway. But
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think there will still be some applications of fishing where, forward facing sonar isn't going to play. I think of like frog fishing or flipping really heavy grass or
heavy
that sort of
vegetation.
thing.
Yes. Yep.
Yep. Because we see that especially up here in the upper Midwest, where the question gets posed all the time: what would you rather have, live scope or Mega 360? And honest to God, up here in Minnesota, probably Mega 360, because 90% of the time we're fishing grass, and we want to be able to see, the holes in the grass. We want to be able to, figure out, where those holes are in the milfoil or where the weed edge is and follow it. And obviously, perspective mode comes into play when you've got forward facing sonar or, landscape view or whatever they call it. But Mega 360 has been such a effective tool for us anglers up here, and I don't know if it's so much down south, when they're fishing in 25 feet of water, standing timber, that sort of stuff. But definitely up here, it's like a game changer. I hate to throw that term so loosely around in this industry, but Mega 360 for the longest time was just like the deal. You had to have it on your boat. And I think, we potentially could be moving away from that because with live scope and with people getting better at live scope, I think people are finding that fish are a lot more pelagic than we realize they are. I was out with one of my colleagues shooting content for Omnia the other day, and we went to one of my little honey holes, right? And I was like, dude, they're either on this hump, or this shoreline. I know them. I know these fish. You know, I know what they're doing. And they were there. They just weren't eating, you know. And he went to this shoreline, and I'm like, I've never fished that shoreline before. And he went to this shoreline, and there was just big schools of bait on this shoreline with really featureless, you know, just kind of gradual tapering contour line. And there was just big balls of bait fish getting chased by bass over mud, you know, mud and silty bottom. And I'm just like, why are there fish here? You know, and if you don't got that live scope, you can't just point to them and see like, okay, here's one, there's two, there's three here, and there's a big ball of bait right here. And, you know, he's just firing a little, you know, scented jerk shad with a jig head in it. And he's picking off, you know, 3-4 pounders that are just swimming around pelagically chasing bait, you know. And I think we're going to start to see that there's a lot more fish that are like that and not so much relating to structure. And I've heard from, you know, a lot of guys on tour that Lake St. Clair, for example, those fish get pinged with live sonar so much that as soon as they even feel a ping, they run, because they know exactly what it is, and they're getting hit from all sides with live sonar. So
right.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see that fishing is gonna change a little bit in terms of how people don't necessarily just target cover or structure anymore, and they're just finding fish in suspended in 60 foot of water on nothing, you know. So
yeah, interesting things to you know, take into consideration. You know, being on a kayak, you know, I mean, the most I have is just the one unit, but like, you know, I'm seeing how people are using the dual screens in front of them, or on, you know, one side and the other, depending on what kind of a setup they have, you know. And most of the way I'm looking at it right now, I was just like, that's just more stuff to have on the kayak. That's another transducer. That's another screen. That's another battery. That's another expense. That's more money that I don't have right now, you know? So like,
I hear you.
You know, if I was winning more tournaments and stuff like that and competing in like, you know, big leagues and stuff like that, then I'd probably consider it. But you know, right now, I mean, being in the spot that I am, you know, in the industry and my quote unquote career, you know, it's just not, you know, the best financial decision for me. I mean, would I like it? Heck yeah, because I mean, it looks cool. Like, I mean, being able to like, you know, hone in on like, you know, a PB during the spawn, like, would be insane. But again, it's getting that fish to hit your bait.
Right.
Yeah, I think to that point though, you know, I am somewhat of a purist where I try not to rely on my forward facing sonar too much. I do have, you know, live scope on my boat. But I kind of see it in the same sense of like, I didn't really earn that fish. I would allude it to catching a 10 pounder off of a bed and saying, yeah, I caught my PB, but it's like, but it was on a bed, you know. I'd feel better if I caught it flipping a bush or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe it was on a bed in a bush, but I wasn't looking at it, you know. I didn't know it was there for sure, and I was shaking a jig in his face, like just waiting for him to eat it, you know. Like I'm moving down the bank, flipping bushes, this and that, and then bang, there's that 10 pounder. But if I'm looking at him and he's sitting on that dock post because he's got a bed right there, and I'm shaking 15, 20 baits in his face to see which one he'll eat for 3 hours, and then he finally eats it, I don't know if that feels very
rewarding
or rewarding by that.
Yeah.
And it makes me think like, you know, I think with kayak angling, a lot of folks got into it because the price of entry was so much lower. Like, and now it's weird because now we're even seeing a gap there between, you know, the bottom line and the top of the line kayaks with all this. I mean, you could easily spend $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 rigging your
10
kayak,
plus easy.
and you know, then that poor guy who's in his lifetime kayak that he bought at Dick's, you know, is now behind the ball again because we just lengthened the playing field again. You know, not that you can't go out and outfish somebody with that. I mean, it happens. And I mean, Drew Gregory still kind of is the bare bones kind of, you know, although he uses motors now too occasionally and stuff, but it's just weird how that gap ebbs and flows as technology increases, and but also the cost of entry kind of can jump around. So
Yeah, it's funny. I was at work today, and we're going. I'm constantly like keeping my eyes open for potential influencers or content creators that we can work with, because that's kind of the name of the game in the fishing industry right now. And I just so happened to stumble upon the Bassmaster show where we fished in the college series of the national championship, and I saw my old boat and one little HDS 9 on the dash and one HDS 9 on the floor up in the bow. And I'm like, and I reached out to one of my colleagues and I was like, yo, check this out. Like, look at how few electronics we used to have on our boats, Like, it was a Fortrex. There was no spot lock, it was just your standard gimbal mounted to the carpet and the floor, There was no big double decker mount. There was no, 360 with a 360 transducer and a live scope transducer. And like the dash was literally, I could see all my little instrument panels, like I could see my little RPM meter, whatever, I could see my gas gauge, everything like that. It wasn't just blown up with, two 12-inch graphs, and it's funny to see how far we've come and how things completely changed. So
right, it's like with any electronics, I mean, you think about cell phones, the old bag phones to flip phones to small phones, and now we've gotten big again. It's just it's very, very fascinating and interesting to see how the trends evolve and everything throughout the years.
Yeah, it's funny because I bought my first bass boat, and it was a 17-foot Skeeter. Right out of high school, I spent $3,800 on it. I took all my grad money and I went and bought a bass boat. And I thought I was the baddest dude on the planet with this little 17-footer. I could go pond hop as much as I wanted to. I had a Humminbird 597 on the front, and I didn't even have a graph on the console. It was just, either you pull out your phone, you have Navionics, or if there's no buoys, you're probably safe to run. You're probably safe to run the big motor. So just avoid the buoys, stay in between the red and the green, and it's like nowadays if a 17-footer rolled by me, I wouldn't even look at it twice. And that's kind of sad. But
right.
that's just kind of how it is in the industry now. And Sean, to your point with kayak fishing, we've got, you are starting to see that gap between guys that are, using $2,000, $3,000 kayaks to the guys that have fully kitted out $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000 kayaks based off electronics in their boats. It's there's definitely a, you're starting to see that gap that has always been in the fishing or in the bass boat side of things, but you're definitely starting to see it in the kayaks too. So.
Interesting stuff. Awesome. Well, we're coming up on just over an hour. Definitely some awesome material insights, the Premium Pro, the Ambassador program with Omnia, trends, forward-facing sonar. It's definitely been very, very interesting and very intriguing. So
thanks, Trevor.
yeah, definitely. But I wanted to see if you had any other final thoughts, whatnot you wanted to share with us. Otherwise,
or where folks can
yes.
obviously find more out about Omnia and about Premium Pro and the Ambassador program.
I just wanted to, before I forget, I think it's hilarious. We talk about forward-facing sonar, and somehow in every conversation with bass fishing, somehow forward-facing sonar becomes the topic of the conversation. And it was no different tonight, but I just think that's hilarious. in regards to Omnia, like I said, thank you so much for having me on tonight. Really, really excited to be able to go through this stuff with you guys. And yeah, for more information, obviously we got our website, omniafishing.com. You got the app. You can download the app. You can find us on all social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, that sort of deal. So the handles are all the same. It's Omnia Fishing. And yeah, if anybody has any questions with Premium, Premium Pro, Premium, the Ambassador Program, anything of the sort, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to me. My email is just Trevor, Trevor at omniafishing.com. So any questions, I field them all, whether they're for me or not. I can always direct them to the relevant party. So yeah, and like I said, just really appreciate you all for having me on. Had a great time meeting you guys, talking to you, and getting to know you a little bit, and just talking fishing. Love talking fishing, so it was a good time.
Yeah. That's what we do best.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, so do you want me to take us out?
Go for it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Bass Fishing for Noobs here on the Paddle and Fin podcast, where we bring you the techniques, the tricks, and the tips to help you rip more lips. Thanks, and have a good night, guys.
Good night.